tonight I just wanted to discuss with you guys, even as I consider changing the platform that I'm on from YouTube to VidMe, that I'm basically working on 3 different project sets. One is the TPP slash TISA slash the pipeline project in terms of blocking all of that. But then, and that's kind of more of a, even though TISA and TPP are complete disasters, they're more secondary only because, together with the pipelines, only because they're not extremely long-term projects. However much they need to be blocked, all of them do, is, sooner the better. The fact is that I can't foresee me taking many, if any, real direct action steps beyond signing petitions and calling up politicians, which I do for dozens of issues. But the 2 primary things that I'm working on are Election Justice USA, with them, where right now their biggest project is getting hand-counted paper ballots, the standard for this country, and replacing all of the machines. So that's one big project, and that's one of the reasons that we're switching. Thankfully, I've helped get them to, been one of the chief nudgers, let me put it that way, of getting them to move from Facebook to MeWe.com in terms of social networking platforms, because every movement that I've ever seen on Facebook that's risen has fallen in part because of Facebook censorship. The other one is, though this is also a primary one, that might very well take actually longer than the hand-counted paper ballots, and that is the ourvoiceparty.org. Okay, that's the website, www.our, as in the word voice, like voice, singing or speaking voice, party, having a party, .org. And the third primary project actually that I'm working on, with the TPP, TISA, and pipelines being secondary, is the March for DC. And that the thing is that, as Raylan pointed out, they really, in terms of my 3 main things, the Election Justice USA, okay, in terms of hand-counted paper ballots, the Our Voice Party, and the March for Democracy, okay, which to take back democracy, which is on October 23rd. They're all 3 of them. Their Elections Justice USA is probably the biggest one in terms of group of people, but they're all, and there's another one that I don't know that much about called the People's We the People movement. Okay, but I think that that's tiny. I don't really know though the size over that, but it's but I'm really working with Our Voice Party, and as I understand it, with that other thing, there's a great deal of overlap. So I'm, focused on what I actually know more about. And that is Our Voice Party, which is to say a movement to change the way this country votes in terms of, from the current system of first past the post voting method, in which at best 20%, well, maybe up to 30%, but it's doubtful that it'll get that high, of the eligible voters will actually vote for whomever wins the presidential election. That's very optimistic, because only about 50 to 55% tops, in fact sometimes it's only been 40% of the voting eligible population actually votes in presidential elections, and it's the highest turnout of any of the kinds of elections that exist in terms of where you vote. And So therefore, at best, it's 27%. Odds are, because in the fact that in fact it is only about 50% of the eligible voters will actually vote, it won't even be that much. It'll in fact be at best 12 to 13% of the voters, of the people that are eligible to vote in this country, will vote for whomever wins. And that's assuming even that it's really not a normal cycle, okay, where it's just the two parties in terms of the Republican-Democrat duopoly, or really, to me, monopoly, virtual. If in fact, as I actually at this point strongly suspect, people stick with what they're planning on, and therefore it becomes a matter of only about 25 or 26% voting, 6% of the respondent, which is to say likely voters, voting for every one of them between 15 and 27%. Then we actually might get a situation of, because at least odds are 30 to 40% of the people that are eligible to vote won't, that at best case scenario, because you're talking about therefore 60% of the U.S. population voting, which again, this hasn't happened in terms of numbers in a long time, that would be like maximizing voter turnout. Then you would land up in a situation where, with a four-way split, okay, you would land up with the winning person, okay, whomever that is, in turn with the four-way split, getting about only needing really 12% of the voting age and thusly eligible, of the eligible voters actually voting for the winning candidate. You would only therefore need 12 to 13% in terms of to win. So yeah, 12, again, I'm going to repeat this for you folks, 12%, okay, of the voting age population, and that's me being optimistic, okay. The odds are, in fact, what's been happening most of the time in election cycles past, it's actually been 49% of the people that are voting aged, that are eligible to vote, voting, and therefore it would only be therefore not even, you would just need, as opposed to the figure I previously quoted you of I think 13%, yeah, you would need 12.25%, okay, to win. And again, that's a best case scenario. Again, in theory, and under this, if someone quote unquote gets what might very well be reported in the corporate, owned media, a landslide victory this year, that landslide victory might be 14%, okay, of the people that are eligible to vote picking the next president of the United States. Okay, which is to say only 14%, and yet they might very well report it as a landslide victory. Okay? So again, and this is one of the reasons that the voting method needs to be changed to from first past the post to single transferable voting method, so that we can have people ranking their choices, okay, and therefore for people who believe that there are multiple people that would be good, just have it all out there, okay? In terms of the fact that they say in terms of candidates, that it would be a matter of they're happy with they're okay with the concept of either Rafael de la Fuente or Jill Stein, and they're passable, but they don't love it, and therefore he'll go at number 3 with Gary Johnson. Okay, and yes, there are more presidential candidates than just those 3. Obviously, there's currently still, unfortunately, there's Trump and Clinton, and those people, in terms of those 2, for the vast majority of the public that hates both of them, those could be people that they wouldn't even put down as possibles, and therefore you would get 3 people down as possibles, 1, 2, and 3, and that would bring together, again, if not enough voted for one, you would go to people's second choices and third choices, and in doing so, you would get more of the public happy with whatever that was, okay? And yes, it would actually also, if we wanted to, it could combine the primaries, alright? And this would really be the ideal, especially in terms of saving money. It could actually allow us to then run the primary election and the general election at the same time, combine the voting days. Because by doing that, you don't actually, in terms of that method, you don't need a primary. You can run the 2 candidates on, or however many candidates you want that say they want to run for it. You could have them all run, and then you could pick them all at once and have them all running against one another, so that people get a full choice. A lot better for the country to me. So, and again, the March for Democracy, therefore, component, that is the grassroots organizers, the people that as well want to actually do something physical and want to march for, in essence, full-on election integrity and say that, this has been a fraudulent election and we want to bring back our democracy, or at least bring it forward fully. And on the ballot access, on the hand-counted paper ballots, that would give us the integrity that, to some degree, well, to a large degree, the March for Democracy, to take back democracy, is looking to gain back. And that's why I view them in some ways as 3 parts of the equation. And indeed, especially in terms of the fact that we have people that want to do state marches, which I'm not, to some degree I've heard about it, but I'm not really involved in that all that much directly. I really, again, I want to say that we have 2 paths that we're looking at right now. Either destruction, okay, especially in terms of things like the TPP, and continuing to allow this mess to occur without any real action, which will destroy most of the planet and most of the people on the planet. Or we have the possibility of creating a fuller democracy in this country, and then ending wars throughout the planet. Because let's face it, the U.S. is the world arms dealer, and one of its most prolific, if not the, and creating global peace. Okay? So that's what we're looking at in terms of these 2 options. All the tools are there for both. Now please, come and join us so that we go on the right one. And yes, if we get fought to, if the oligarchy does not wake up and does not cede to these demands, there might, unfortunately, become violence in the streets. I'm not going to deny that as a possibility, because it is. No matter how civil you are in a protest, no matter how nonviolent you are, at times violence does occur. History shows that. But either way, I'm in this for the long haul, and I know that this is possible. So as I prepare for Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom.